Hi guys, and welcome to our mobility section here at the SCA. The mobility links directly from the assessment. Before we go into sort of fancy program design and where we go with the strength and conditioning pieces, we want to make sure we address the mobility issues that are identified from the assessment. When we look at mobility and stability, we're looking at the kinetic chain, so ankles, knees, hips, lumbar, thoracic, and the shoulders. We're going to start from the ground and work our way up, because most issues are going to come from the ankle. A lot of the people we work with come from a history of fitness, being endurance, running, sport as a youngster, twisting, turning, and just everyday life. A lot of the forces, or all the forces, come from the ground through the ankle, and are going to affect what happens at the calf complex and further up the chain. So to begin with, we've got a couple of tools we like to use, foam rollers and hockey balls. There's a lot of conflicting data on the relevance and how worthy these tools are. But what we do know is that 5–10 minutes before a session or at home will better serve your client and give them a better training experience and just create a little bit more space that we can access to go into the training session. We're going to start with the hockey balls, a great tool for those finer details in the body, those smaller muscles. We're going to start just with the base of the foot, just by simply rolling out the foot. 30–40 seconds, we're going to get into those areas there. Next up, we're going to look at some foam rolling. I'll get Jens to take a seat down on his bum. We're going to start with the calf. So we discussed the 4-inch test in the assessment. Okay, so calf comprised of 2 sections, soleus and gastrocs. We're going to address the soleus first. We're going to scan the entire length of the muscle. Once we find somewhere that's sore, now if I'm here with the client, I can pin it for him and then just start oscillating, getting into here, 30–40 seconds, increase blood flow, give him a little more range through here. He can do that himself if you're not around by just putting the other leg on top, lifting his weight off the floor. Now this might be too much for some people, but many people can deal with this. We want them then to take a full scan of the muscle from ankle to knee, identify any areas laterally immediately that are going to be tight. We want them to release off their toes. We don't want them pulling their toes towards their shin because they're going to be fighting against the foam roller. And then find somewhere that's sore and then hold, pin it, and just get stuck into it as best as possible. Again, we don't want people rolling around for long periods of time before their session because we're wasting valuable training time. We need to get them moving, but a bit of deliberate practice for a minute or two on some isolated areas is going to better serve them for what's to come.
Definitely. I think a key here is obviously if you're trying to deal with a client who's struggling with range in that 4-inch test, you obviously want to have a little bit of bias towards what's going on down here in the soleus. And this is a great way to start introducing decent breathing while doing this. Often you'll find people going like, holding their breath, pulling faces. So cueing, getting them to breathe through it is a great introduction to how powerful breathing is in terms of how the body responds to pain and movement.
Yeah, these tools are great because your clients are going to feel something, all right? So this will identify to themselves where they might be tight and they'll place more importance on this in their independent training time, and then it won't get dragged into your session for too much.
Yeah.
We're big fans then of some loaded mobility drills using band for distraction because again, it's something to feel and it's something for your clients to resist against, and it will put them into postures that are already more athletic than what they're currently used to. So this first one, you can use anything, kettlebells, D-balls, barbells, but we're just going to load up into an ankle stretch here. We're going to get Jens to load the ball onto his thighs and sit into a deep squat with his feet together and knees together. Already here we can see now he's creating this ankle mobility here, linking back the 4-inch assessment, the 4-inch test. Then we're getting good dorsiflexion here at the ankle. This is going to be great for his squat, any sort of lunge pattern, and thereafter. We want to choose a weight that's heavy enough to be able to sit him into a squat pattern. We don't want him to have his feet further apart. So if he brings his feet apart, we're going to see a lot of collapsing at the ankle here. We don't want this to see the knees track in. Again, linking back to assessment. We don't want to teach this pattern here. Similarly, we don't want his hips too high. So if you bring the hips up a little bit more, Jens, that's not where we want to be sitting into this stretch because we're not getting this ankle mobility that we will get if he sits through here, keeping his heels on the floor, feet together, making sure he grips the feet with his big toe and the feet don't collapse. Perfect. So there's one nice little ankle stretch here, which is going to lead us nicely into the next piece. Just drop that down for me, champ. Perfect. So the next one, as we said, we're big fans of the banded distraction work. So if we get Jens to step inside the band here, one ankle at a time, he's going to put it around the base of his ankle just above the foot. He's going to plant the foot on the plate here and then drop into like a lunge pattern so his knee's down, he's nice and comfortable. From here we're going to get some external rotation of the knee. He can almost grip and grab the tib fib, rotate out and then just drive the knee over, little toe again, getting into this squat pattern out here. Hold in for a couple of seconds, drop back out, big deep breath, and then drop back in. Perfect. If we're finding that they find this fairly easy and we want to add a bit more load, we can just take something like a kettlebell, load it up on the knee, drive in, hold for a couple of seconds, and drive back out. Now, where will we use this? So if we're going to squat, or if we've got a knee flexion dominant session lined up, then this is where we can start bringing these mobility drills in the 5-10 minute start of the session. We don't need to go into too much of this if the bias of the session is on upper body or other elements of training.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, always remember the principles of like contract release as well, so proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, PNF, okay? No one needs to know what it stands for, just know that to coach your clients, say just push your toes down really hard against the plate, take a deep breath in, when you relax, see it'll give you more. All right, that teaches the brain to, well, teaches the muscle and the brain that it's okay, we've got more range there, we've got more space. All right, so mobility is determined by your active ability to use range, not just how you can get into anything passively, okay?